The Physical Elements, Chapter 7. Common attributes. Each element is unique. Each element affects the world, interacts with the world, the environment around you differently. Each person has a strong element that they are most comfortable with. This is the element that when you're under stress, you have problems, or you're facing a difficult situation, this is the element you use during those times, more often than not. If you have a strong element, you also have a weak element. This is the element you use the least. Now each element has a charge limit. This is the amount of times that you can experience this particular element in a given day. Now each element has its own charge limit. That is, in each element you can only experience a certain amount, and each amount that you can experience that element is different. There are some adverse reactions when charge is near or at or above the limit. When a charge is near or at the limit, the person in question will try to avoid this element as much as possible. Now when this charge gets above the limit, the person could even become violent and want to destroy that which brings it closer or forces it to interact with the element in question. Now there are old and new elements. The old elements are called earth, fire, water, and air. Now I've changed the names a bit. I've changed the ideas behind them. The new elements are called matter, process, connection, or space. The element of matter. For a definition, it's anything that consists of atoms. Water consists of atoms, hydrogen and oxygen. Therefore, it is matter. There are many gases in the air, such as oxygen and hydrogen, but they haven't yet combined. These are atoms. Therefore, it's matter. Now, matter has an internal and an external structure to it. When you look at water, you can see what it looks like, but you take it apart, you see the two atoms. You can take an atom apart and find its nucleus and its electrons. Now, all of the trait for a matter is it's all about physical sensations, be it touch, feel, or taste, or anything that produces those sensations, or anything that makes you feel physically different. That's what matter is all about. Now the meditations, it's being aware of your body. It's how you sit, how you stand, and how you move. And the second meditation I call the water jug. You take a jug and you fill it up, and it fills up from the bottom. If you have an odd-shaped jug, it fills up all the nooks and crannies as it goes. Now the human person, the human body, can feel everything that goes on within the body except for the nerves. Whenever you go into an operation room and get operated on, they give you an anesthetic, they give you anesthesia so that you can't feel them. It's just that these feelings are so commonplace, we start to ignore them. Unless, of course, something drastic happens to bring it back to your attention, such as you get hurt in one way or another, or you become sick. Now, the way you meditate here is that you stop by being aware of your toes. You become aware of as much as you can, and you slowly increase that area of awareness. Go from your toes to your feet to your ankles, etc. And when you become good enough, you can perform this meditation with your body all at once. The element of space. By definition, it's anything that occupies or travels through empty areas but doesn't consist of atoms. It is the thing which exists between atoms, which is a number of different things. Light, sound, and smell can exist between atoms, but they're not atoms. Light is produced from the sun, a light bulb, a fire, or any similar thing. Sound is vibrations that come through the air. And your smell, that's the odors that exist from different things. The traits here is that a person is logical, analytical, and solitary. That is, everything happens in the mind. And the meditations here, first they require you to rely on being aware of your environment. They require you to relax and not focus on anything. Now for the meditations in space, the more things that you have that simulate or stimulate those things such as light, sound, and smell, the better off the meditation will be. Now for sight, you relax your eyes, you don't focus on anything. You can be able to see your nose, you can be able to see everything around you, up and down, above, on the side. And if you get good enough, you can even drive, being able to see all three mirrors, your speedometer, and the road ahead of you. You can also relax your eyes and increase your vision. The hearing allows you to actually go and relax your ears. The meditation is based on relaxing your ears and accepting as much sound as possible. There is as much noise as possible, being able to recognize as much noise as possible, but you don't focus on hearing any particular different thing. Smell allows you to go and be aware of as many different odors as possible. The element of connections. The definition here is that it's the power that binds two things together. Now, there are a number of different ways that this can be accomplished. First, you have gravity. According to physics, any atom that has mass has a gravity to it. In small atoms, the gravity is inconsequential. But you have a big atom like the planet Earth beneath us. That pulls against us and it holds us on the planet. Now another form of gravity comes from the moon that works against the tides in the ocean as well. That creates our tides. Now another thing that bonds us together with each other is our emotions. And the traits here are that a person is socially strong and they need to create bonds. They're your people who are very social. They know a lot of people and they get along well with a lot of people. And the meditations here is to become aware of the body's gravitational field. You can do this by just allowing yourself to be weighted down by the earth. Become aware of the earth's pull against you. And the next one is the pull of the moon. The human body consists of a certain amount of water. Now, depending on who you talk to, who you read from, this amount is different. But what is important here is that just as the moon pulls against the water in the oceans, it also pulls against the water in your body. This is where the idea of the word lunatic comes from. Now you have the emotional connections as well. Any feeling you have for a different person, you can fill yourself up with it the same way you did, or a similar way rather, as you did in the meditation called the water jug. Now the water jug meditation can actually be used the same way with all three of these meditations. Now process. Process is the equivalent of fire. Fire isn't the heat, it's not the flame, it's not the light, it's not the smoke, it's not the ash, it's the process that creates these. By definition, it's a movement of some sort, and also using up of something. Whereas in a campfire, it uses up the wood. Now, the traits here are that the people who are strong in process, they need to maintain some kind of movement of some sort. Usually it's a physical movement. You notice people when they're agitated, they sit down, they shake on the foot, or they stand up, they're constantly moving. These are people who are strong in fire. When you get control over this element, these are where your athletes come from. Now, there are a number of different meditations. Not all of them require physical movement, however. The first one is the air currents. The water currents work on the same basic idea. You sit in a place when you can feel the wind. Now, there are a number of different things that create the wind. First of all, when the air heats up near the equator and it rises. As it rises, it pushes the cold air towards the north, to the poles, whereas it gets cold and it sinks. Cold air sinks, hot air rises. That's a process. That's a movement. It forces one thing to become or go somewhere else. Now, magnetism. You have a magnet. Two positive ends will repel each other. Two negative ends repel each other. But a positive and negative, they attract each other. And you have to get the magnet close enough to feel these because of the magnetic waves. It's an area of attraction, or repulsion, around the magnet that interact. So magnetism is a process. Now you have electricity. Electricity works because of the atoms within the object. You get a battery, or you take the battery of an acid battery. Acid eats the electrons off of one and moves outside of the pole and moves them to another pole. You connect two wires, and the atoms try and go back to where they came from. This creates electricity. Now your body's resources. You take in water, you take in food, it's either stored or it's used, and then it's expelled as waste. Now you can feel all of this happening. You can feel yourself filling up with water. You can feel the water flowing through your body. You can feel the water leaving your body. All it takes is just a little more time, a little practice. Now, to learn magnetism requires you to practice the elements of earth. When you practice the elements of earth, you practice the breathing from air. When you practice earth, you can learn to feel your magnetic currents. When you practice air, you can feel the electricity goes through you. Usually it starts at the bottom of you and it rises up to the top. And with practice, you can create a dome or field or a shell around you. You can learn to feel this. Now you note a few changes here. My explanations and definitions have been changed and moved, and many meditations have been moved from one to another. That's because as I go through this project, I've learned and expanded my knowledge.